professor at UNH in outdoor education, a much beloved professor, and she was also a professor of history, and she combined those two degrees to offer a course in outdoor education that was taken by many, many students at UNH.
We were visited by a man by the name of Papandreas from Hampton. He said that he was in real estate. He had a little son that more than anything in the world wanted to go to school in Durham, and he very much wanted a piece of property in Durham, and he would like to buy our house. As time went on, we began to realize this energetic person from real estate from Hampton was going all the way up and down the road and offering to buy up places. Well, then the town of Durham, particularly the people on Durham Point Road, got extremely worried and suspicious. I was sitting at dinner one night, and there was a ring on the telephone, and it was one of the reporters from Public Occurrences, and he said, "Ev, guess who is back of all this?" I said, "Do you know?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Who?" He said, "Aristotle Onassis."
Evelyn Browne became the focal point of the fight because she had given an option unwittingly for this inappropriate use of her land, and she wanted to get out of it. So she had, her lawyer was called into play. She was quoted in the newspaper. She was really our point person in opposition to this idea of a refinery.
And John Hatch had this splendid idea of putting a great sign in our fields, which could be clearly read from the helicopters, because we knew that Aristotle himself was about to fly over his holdings on Durham Point. And they did fly over, and we saw the yellow helicopter bristling with cameras. They did fly over, and we shook our fists and screamed obscenities up at them, and it read, "Not here." At that time, Phyllis Bennett had started a magazine in Newmarket called Public Occurrences, and it was a lifesaver.
Save Our Shores, the Durham-based group, was formed when locals heard about the proposed plans to build a refinery by the Olympic Oil Company. SOS specifically states that they are not opposed to all oil refineries, just ones within 25 miles of each other. SOS took a closer look at the model refinery in Benicia, California. Evidence shows that Benicia does 80,000 barrels a day, which would have been 1/6 of what the one in Durham would have provided.
It's hard to explain the tension of that moment, but the whole refinery battle had been portrayed by the press as kind of a David and Goliath thing. 1,254 against the refinery to 454 for the refinery. And so it was a resounding vote no in Durham.
In 1983, Ev Browne first became involved with the Great Bay Estuary System Conservation Trust.
So a number of us got together, thanks to Chris Simmers of the Office of State Planning, and we founded an organization called the Great Bay Estuarine System Conservation Trust.
The purpose of the trust was to take a grassroots approach to land and water conservation in the Great Bay. The Great Bay Estuary System encompassed several thousand acres of open water and thousands of acres more of land. There were 6 land easements proposed: Adams Point in Durham, Lumberland Creek in Newmarket, Squamscott River in Newmarket, Newfields, and Stratham, and the shoreline beside Pease Air Force Base in Portsmouth, along with Great Bay and Crummick Creek. Ev's own land was put into a conservation easement which brought down her property value almost $400,000. Ev's conservation work led to Adams Point being part of the Great Bay Estuarine Research Reserve to be enjoyed by generations to come. Mike Gass from UNH penned a letter expressing his pleasure on the approval of the Great Bay Estuary Research Reserve and the plans for a future outdoor education center on land donated by Ev.